anything that I do for myself, if you want to think of it through the lens of personal growth, has an impact on every aspect of my life, but also the world around me. A lot of people delineated the difference by expressing that personal is about I and spiritual is about we. But there is no aspect of life that is only about you. There's always a butterfly effect of your thoughts and actions, your mental constructions, mental formations, how you see and view the world, and how you move through the world. It's kind of like that question, what's the difference between selflessness and selfishness? And while some decisions you make may be more motivated by how it impacts others, or at least that's what you think at first, you'll find as you look deeper there is really no separation between the two. Because even if you do something for others, you do it because it makes you feel good on a certain level, or you think it's noble or wise. We're always the giver and the receiver, or the receiver and the giver. And this also brings us back to the truth that we are one. So I guess the reason I asked that question, what's the difference between personal growth and spiritual growth, is realizing that these are simply lenses that we use to frame our reality. They don't necessarily reflect what actually is. Just language we use to divide life up into tiny pieces, to use it and use those pieces to look at life itself. That's a quote from Antonio Portia, his book Voices. We tear pieces out of life and use it for looking at itself. And I share that to highlight how our language shapes our reality. And to also add that on this journey of growth, whether it resonates more for you as spiritual growth or personal growth, or they both resonate equally, that we recognize that there's a natural flow of things and it's all one thing. All of our experiences, what he, she, they said, how we received it, how we responded or reacted. And it's one thing, it's the flow of life trying to move through you towards the direction of growth. And when we surrender to that growth, to that flow, we grow with more ease. However, when we resist, it's kind of like we are building a dam in a river. So resistance being our fear, resistance being old trauma and triggers or unconscious responses, doubt, overthinking, which then shows up as anxiety, depression, stress in the body. But if we don't resist, if we just relax, and granted, that might be easier said than done, but go with me on this idea for a moment. If we relax, when we feel those heavy emotions, when we have those thoughts, we can remember that they are just a way to frame what is happening. They may or may not actually be congruent with reality. And in in that space of being aware of your own awareness, aware that you are simply having a thought, and that you don't have to become that thought. That thought doesn't identify itself as you. You can lose yourself in that thought and become it. Still doesn't make it true. It just means that's the lens that you're using to frame your reality in this moment. However, if you can relax and stay aware of that thought as a thought and not identify with it, it's like you're taking pieces of that dam out of the river and allowing life to continue to flow. And with time, your body relaxes, the heavy emotion subsides, and you can see more clearly. That whatever was said or whatever experience happened was maybe just a bit of debris that was in the river that was coming to help you remove the dam so that you can return to effortless flow in the direction of growth. We spend a lot of time along this journey of growth wondering, how do we use force or our power to expand and work through all of these things that have become obstacles, mental formations that we use to process our reality. And the funny thing is, it's simply relax. Because you are already it. The only thing that needs change is sitting back far enough in your awareness to see the movie play out before you. Right? The old patterns, they said this, I responded this way. And because I responded this way, they said that. And now we've started another argument. We've gone unconscious and blocked the flow of life. But if we breathe, have a moment to maybe sift, something I share often. It's an acronym to help you get grounded. Means becoming present to the body. So you let go of the mental formation, right? The idea that, oh, this means that I'm lesser than or not enough or unworthy. But you just start processing your experience as color, texture. So those colors might be the sensations, right? S is for sensations that show up in the body, or images, or feelings, or thoughts. But not seeing them as true, not having to believe them, but just realizing they are colors, open to many interpretations, just like we all had very different interpretations for each color as we shared our favorite. Someone earlier shared green and said it felt warm and comfortable, and then someone shared red and said that it also felt warm and comfortable. For someone else, red was love. So realizing that just like the colors, each experience also has its own interpretation. Each thought has its own interpretation based on your experience and how you are choosing to frame it. And that you have the capacity to change how you interpret each experience. It's more in alignment with the flow. So I often will say surrender. People will say, to what? How? What does that mean? To the moment. Let it move through you. Don't become it. Allow the flow of life to carry you in the direction of your growth naturally in its way. For just as you did not choose the day you would be born, into what body, into what age or timeline, there's so much of life that you will not be able to choose. So accepting that, right? Because that within itself, the illusion of control is one of the biggest dams in the river. So surrendering to the moment and allowing yourself to remember that you are, I am, already whole. Whole, loved, love, peace. These are our essence, joy, happiness, right? But we usually try to find it by escaping our lives. However, if we choose to relax into our life, you realize that it's always available to you, even in the midst of what might normally be framed as tumultuous adversity. Oh, but to breathe and sit back in the seat and remember it's all color. It's all color. Or to think of color, vibrations, right? Waves of light, waves of sound, right? Like the guitar, the sound of my voice, or nature, the crickets. Maybe hear a low white noise in the background. That's cars moving along the road, not too far away. But Alan Watts would share it in this analogy of music, life as music. And so often we're rushing to the end point or the next point. Thinking that that is the point of life, this next thing, because we're escaping this moment. Not realizing that this moment is the only moment. And if the next moment was the whole point, if this was a song, right? We'd all be waiting for that last chord. This was classical music. That big finale. And each track would be just a few seconds long, one chord. And oh, how boring that would be. But if we allow ourselves to enjoy each part of the song, the onset, the intro, the rhythm, the crescendos and decrescendos, riding those waves, enjoying that tension and release. That affords us greater appreciation for each and every aspect of how that piece was made. Each moment along the way, the anticipation of the chorus, or your favorite lyric, or the cello solo. And remembering that if it isn't your turn to have the spotlight, you can still enjoy the journey, trusting that your time will come when it comes. remembering just to breathe. Feeling any anxiety or stress or heaviness. Remember to simply breathe. Relax the body. Allow that energy and motion to stay in motion. Don't attach any heavy identity to any of those experiences. And remember that life is giving you an opportunity to break the dam and allow life to flow through you. So I actually just want to encourage you this day, instead of looking for the difference in things and how they are separate, try to look for how they're all equal. Equal in value, equal in importance, equal in their uniqueness and impermanence. You'll also find that in a way, right, the search for difference or judgment often can become its own dam. And that the way out can be through connection instead of protection. You're welcome, beautiful souls. I have about 15 minutes before I need to go. I'll go at the top of the hour here. And get ready for the live meditation I do every morning with the Beautiful Souls online community, where we, every morning, have a moment to contemplate ideas like these. And then we go through a meditation practice, an average of about 20 minutes long, to help us practice that skill of being aware of our awareness, so that we can reconnect to our innate peace. So if that is something that resonates, you can check that out at my website, asoulcalledjoel.com. And if this timing doesn't work for your schedule, the meditations are always uploaded for you or anyone else through the community platform, so you can access it when you are available. But with this last bit of time left, I just want to open up for any questions or conversation. I'm curious how those ideas landed with you. If there's anything that feels unclear that you're thinking, maybe someone else in this live is thinking it too. So it might be helpful to explore a question that might be resonant. What helps you to believe in yourself or your dream? It's a good question. I guess the thing I think of in regards to that question, what helps you to believe in yourself or your dream? This idea that if I'm having trouble believing in my dream or myself, then I am causing discomfort, dis-ease within myself, meaning I am in conflict with myself. So I believe that each one of us, right, come from a seed. And that seed had all the information we needed to become a healthy, whole human. And whatever other unique things that come through me as Joel and you as whoever you may be, all just want to shine. They all just want to blossom and bloom. And so in those spaces where you feel uncomfortable and you're having trouble believing, what's helpful for me is simply asking the question, a couple of questions. When was the first time I felt this way? And taking some time to find the truest answer I can. Generally, it's somewhere in early childhood. Modern psychology will tell you that most of your constructs that frame the way you view the world were installed by the time you were 7 or 8. And once you find out, right, what in your childhood taught you that, how you responded, and put up that dam, right, that block that stops the flow of life. You have this dream, you have a certain idea about yourself, maybe they're one and the same, but for some reason you don't think you can. And that might have started with an authority figure, someone you're looking up to, someone you looked up to, said something that was degrading or defeating. And as a child, we naturally believed it. So just taking a moment to acknowledge where it came from. Asking, is it true? And of course it isn't. And then allowing it not to become a formation in the mind anymore, but just a color. Makes it lighter. I don't have to attach myself to it or use it to define my reality or even need to prove anything to anyone. But it just opens a space within where you can now start to plant new seeds and water your authentic nature. And that's how I continue to believe in myself if I'm ever in a space of doubt or fear or a feeling of unworthiness. That clicked for you. Wonderful. You're very welcome. How do you approach someone that sparks anxiety in you? Good question. I think that's a very common experience for many of us. Well, first, if it's very extreme, maybe take some space away from that person if you can. It's possible if you don't have to be around them. To get clear with yourself and reflect on it. Also, the advice that I'm going to offer you is only in response to general moderate levels of anxiety. If you have an extreme condition, I would encourage you to find someone to spend some one-on-one time with. Therapist, psychologist, someone who specializes, who can help you work through your specific needs. But in a general sense, go inward, right? So what is my experience with this person? What are they triggering within me? And getting back to what I shared earlier, for that process about this acronym SIFT, helping you to see it all as color. So one way just to stay present in your body, even if you don't have the answers to those questions yet, is to get out of your mind whenever stories or overthinking is happening. And just become present to what's happening in the body. What sensations are coming up. Body, your palms sweaty, heart rate elevated, something else, pain in the stomach, uneasiness. What images? Are you visualizing anything? F, what feelings? Can you name your emotions? Actually name them. And then what thoughts? So that's SIFT, sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. And just the art, just taking that moment of naming them, you actually slip into that state a little bit, right? Becoming aware of your awareness, what's happening in my body. You're not just anxious, you're a person whose heart rate is elevated, whose palms are a little sweaty, who's having images of escape or fighting, maybe, or anything else. Who is experiencing a feeling of sadness, disappointment, hurt, anger, whatever it might be, frustration, fear, and who's thinking they may want to remove themselves from the situation, or may want to say something, maybe if you're in the mood to clap back, I don't know. But just by validating your experience and being present to it, you'll find that the anxiousness usually subsides a bit. It may not go away entirely, but it gets lighter. And as it does, now you're available to find what I would say the diamonds in the coal, least that's how it was expressed. I don't even know if that is true. You can find diamonds in coal. But coal, C-O-A-L, stands for curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love. So how can you remain curious in that space? Maybe some of the questions I shared earlier about what? When was the first time you felt that way? Breathing in, staying open, right? This is the relaxing of those things. Now that you're aware of them, can you relax them? And what can you accept about the situation, right? Usually we're in such deep resistance that creates more resistance and more discomfort. So maybe accepting, oh, I'm triggered, I'm feeling these emotions, and maybe there's plenty I don't know about this person or the why of what's happening yet, which is still okay, right? We don't have to know everything, and I think sometimes that in itself can exacerbate the experience of anxiety. And then finally, love. And I mean, love is very broad in general and can be very mushy, but I'm just going to give you a very specific question that's very helpful for me, which is, what is the most loving response I'm available for in this moment? What is the most loving response I'm available for? So if you're super triggered, maybe you just need to remove yourself from the situation. And maybe you can't even give them a casual explanation because you're so triggered. And that may be the most loving thing you're available for. And maybe a few weeks after that, right, a similar thing happens and you're a bit more grounded, and maybe you can stay in the conversation, stay in the room, hold space for yourself and the others involved. Or maybe it might mean something entirely different. But what is the most loving response I am available for? So that's something I share often, sift and coal. Sift to ground, coal to respond. There's usually some deer out here and I thought I just heard one. Let's see, I guess I have 2 minutes left. You're welcome. So a couple of things before I go. One, if you enjoyed this live, I'm gonna probably take the audio and the video from this and use it for an episode of my podcast, so if you want to revisit it. And my podcast is called Hello, Beautiful Souls. Haven't been as active on it lately. Been busy with organizing some other things and a retreat. But now that that's done, refocusing. But for me, my process is very much about flow. So I share when I have something to share. And the flow is leading me to share this in that way. So but you'll look for that. Hello, Beautiful Souls by A Soul Called Joel, like you see it right here. And if you're looking for support as you're navigating some of these things, like being able to love yourself well and believe in your dreams, or work through anxiety and depression, and you found our time together this morning helpful, I encourage you to create time for yourself in a meditation practice, in one form or another. And if it resonates, you can do it with me. Each morning I lead a meditation at 7:30 a.m. Central, which is 30 minutes from now, in the Beautiful Souls online community. And that's meant to be a soft space for grounding, healing, and transformation. To also feel the support of community and to honor who you naturally are. None of us get here alone. None of us do this walk alone. So if that resonates, there's a link for that as well at my website, along with music and a lot of other things. But for now, I think I'm going to call it a morning. Hope that you all allow yourselves to sit back and see life as color and not be so heavily swayed by the things that are coming downstream. But remember that you are the river and surrender to the flow. I love you all. Have a wonderful day.